Merry Christmas, everyone! I just wanted to let you know that I'm going to be changing some things around here, so stay tuned. You see, I've been really busy in real life, and I've been working on projects for school and work that my ability to focus on my animation has been limited, to say the least. So I decided to change the kind of content I make for this channel, and instead of doing the full animated stuff that I have been doing, I'm going to work on more storytime animatics. That will mean that my Night in the Woods animation will be put on hiatus. Sorry, guys. I'm also going to be making an announcement about my Patreon page after the show, but I'm rambling. Now, without further ado, let's the feature presentation begin. I'm an animal person. I love dogs, and my family has had them ever since I was a baby. We also had cats too, and I loved them quite a bit. Because of this, I usually offer my services as a dog watcher for friends' family, and most of the experiences have been very good. Well, except for this one time. It was June of 2018, and when a family that I was friends with wanted to take a vacation. So they asked me to take care of their animals, and so I traveled to their place and I stayed with them for about 5 days. They have 6 animals, 3 dogs, a good old yellow lab, a nervous pointer, and a little old lady dachshund, as well as 3 cats, but I never got to know them because they always hid from me. They lived in a very rural area, about a half hour from my house. And at the same time, my dad was dealing with a broken ankle from a fishing accident, so I had to help him out at the same time. So between that, work, and the dogs, I was getting a little burnt out. And on top of all this, I had a terrible sinus infection that hurt super bad, and I lost my sense of smell, which actually turned out to be a blessing in disguise. So the first 4 days of the 5-day trip went very well. The dogs and I got along great, and nothing went wrong. Everything looked perfect. The 5th day, however, oh boy. It starts off as a normal day. I took care of the animals, made sure they were fed and walked, and then I went off to work. I even got some ice cream before I remembered I couldn't taste anything. I drive back to the house from work, and one thing I should mention is that there's a lot of forest and hills and stuff, so my vision was a little obscured. I make the turn onto a road and go up a hill, and as soon as I make it over the hill, I see a large plume of smoke coming directly south of me. Maybe I shouldn't have gotten the peppermint stick. I immediately panic, hoping that it wasn't the animal's house. I pull off onto the road, and fortunately the fire was way south of the house, but only by like 5 miles. I get inside and turn the TV on, and find out that we were not in an evacuation area, so that was a relief. I text the family, and they're all worried, and then they tell me to get a bunch of stuff together in case I do need to evacuate. The house was never put under evacuation notice, but the family just got so worried that they texted me, "Evacuate them now!" There was one problem though. The car that I had is a small white Ford Focus, and one animal would be a lot to deal with, let alone 6. So I needed help. I called my dad to come and help me move these animals, and because he's so freaking awesome, he comes to the house with his hatchback for the big dogs. Oh God, why does it smell so awful in here? It does? Like I said, it's a blessing in disguise. So he loads the 2 big dogs into his car and heads for home, leaving me with the small dachshund and the 3 cats. I think it took me about an hour to get all 3 cats into a cage that they had, and one of them would literally not let me find her. She kept running around the house and hiding in little nooks and crannies. I eventually just had to block off an entire room to get my hands on her, but I got all 3 of them into the cage, and now we were in my car and heading for home. The cats clearly didn't like the trip. They hissed and fought in the back seat, and all I could do was tell them to stop. The poor dachshund was whining and scared out of her poor little mind. Fortunately, we were able to get back to my house with no real problems. I finally got back home, and my dad has the 2 big dogs tied to the fence with a water dish for them. I start grabbing the animals when I learned that one of the cats decided to take a dump in the back seat. And oh God, it was pretty bad. A blessing in disguise. Ugh. I take the little dog and tie her up next to the other dogs, and they were just barking constantly. It was clear that they were scared and wanted their parents, and were barking hoping they would pick them up. But at the same time, I kept wondering if the neighbors were going to complain. They were relentless towards my dad. I felt bad for the cats, so I took their food bowl and water thing and I cracked one of the windows, and then I opened up the cage so they don't have to sit and poop the entire time. And I would have cleaned it, but I was so afraid that one of the cats would just jump out and I would never find it again, so I just let them deal with it. I get a call from the mom saying that they were about 20 minutes away from the town, and they thanked me so profusely for getting their dogs and cats. I was just grateful that they were so close to home, and I decided to wait outside with the animals and just, waiting for that call. 4 hours later. Where the heck are they? They didn't show up at my house. And I tried and tried to call them and text any of the other family members, but nothing. What happened to them? Did they get into a wreck? Do I have to hold on to their animals until the next of kin can get them? Oh God, what am I gonna do? I called the local police and the departments of a few other counties to see if they were found or not. They haven't heard any reports or had any wrecks or anyone that matched their description, but they would keep an eye out. My dad said I should go over there to check the house to see if they were there, when I get a phone message. We are parked at the local community center. Can you please bring the animals? I have never felt more relief in my entire life than I did in that moment. I packed up the animals and made a couple trips to transport them. Apparently, they went to the house first to grab necessities and important papers. They couldn't call me because of the poor service that they have in their rural little neighborhood. But they thanked me profusely for helping them out. And I went home and I had passed out on my bed. My adrenaline died down and I was just completely exhausted. They had to stay out of their house for about a week, but fortunately, their house was completely fine. The fire was extinguished and they made it home. As for me, my sinus infection completely cleared up, and I took a long break from watching any animals. Thank you for waiting to the end of the show. I hope you enjoyed it. Regarding my Patreon, I am going to reduce it to 3 tiers. A $1 tier, a $3 tier where you get your name shown at the end of the video, and a $100 tier, because if you pay me $100, I'll draw you a picture. It may not be worth $100, but I want to show my gratitude regardless. The reason why I'm doing that is right now, it just isn't sustainable with the amount of tiers that I have, and the level of prizes I, on reflection, have found are not really worth those different tiers. So to make it easier on you and to make it easier on me, I'm just going to simplify things. And with that being said, I wanted to give one last shout out to, Maxwell, who has supported me ever since I opened up the Patreon. And for him, I will definitely give you my last Maxwell is valid. So you are valid, my friend. I love you. Thank you so much for supporting me through this entire thing. And thank you to everyone who watched this video for supporting me too. And with that, I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.